did you realize that you were creating a unique space for yourself?
We were creating something that was fresh and new. My inspirations came from many different places.
At this time when you're hanging with Curtis Blow, he's already Curtis Blow?
He is the producer du jour of the rap genre because he's the king of rap.
Were you even conscious of the hip-hop? Your introduction to hip-hop was working on with the artist.
People went crazy. We know we had a hit.
One of black magazines, and they said that you wanted to be, you said you wanted to be a dancer.
So I was a dancer.
Do we have any new sounds coming? If you could talk to your younger self today, what would you tell your younger self? All right. We're back, Soul the Streets, with the legend, Miss Alyson Williams. Come on now. Allie, how are you feeling this afternoon?
Hey, Jay. How y'all doing?
So blessed to have you. I'm great. So blessed to have you back on Soul the Streets. You know, we're doing it different now since the pandemic. You know, a lot of things have changed, as you know. And this is where we at.
I'm glad to see that you survived and you're still in your back, because you know you bring something so necessary to us, and I'm glad to be back in your new format.
Thank you so much. Well, you told me just call your name and you'll be back, so I had
and
to do
come running every time. I come running every time.
Well, the last time I saw you, you did an amazing job hosting the Bill Withers Mother's Day show at City Winery. You was an amazing host.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was my honor. It was my honor to be there with and for the family as they celebrate Bill's legacy, as well as Mr. Withers' music and the foundation, you know, that he championed and what have you. The new book, Grandma's Hands. And, you know, it's so funny. Just after that, I started hearing commercials. I can't remember what the products are, but they've got one out using just the two of us and Lovely Day. Running right now, you know, all at the same time. I'm like, y'all better go with his legacy.
That's what I'm talking about. So you mentioned legacy. So you've had a career, recording career, solo career starting from 1988, right? As a solo performer, that's when you dropped your first album.
Well, yeah, I would say 88 would be about relative to I'm coming to you from the car today.
We love car interviews, especially with a hat like that. That hat is, you're looking fire with that hat.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to give you a little braid action, a little cowgirl alley. You know, Beyonce wasn't the first time to be a cowboy, you know, cowgirl. Yeah, but I had a show last night in Raleigh, actually outside of Raleigh, at a place called Cary, North Carolina. Shout out to Raleigh and Cary, North Carolina, and the Improv. I was there with Najee, and we had a great night. So I'm on my way back down to Winston-Salem. But yeah, I started with Def Jam. Well, I signed to Def Jam in '86 as a solo artist, and we dropped our first music in '88, '89, pretty much. Yeah, you're right with that. And so it's been a long time. It's hard to figure out sometimes how the time just flies. You know what I'm saying? 1 minute you're running up and down, doing what you're trying to do, trying to live your dream, and the next thing you know, you've dreamt it.
You know,
and you're on to the
when you got a classic hit that just follows you around all over the place, it's a beautiful blessing to be able to have a song that sticks in. You know,
it really is. And you know, there are a lot of people with a lot of hit songs, radio hits that top the chart as well. I think about my song and what it resonates and how evergreen it is and how it never goes out of style. And I'm glad that that's the song God gave me. You know what I mean? I'm glad he gave me that song.
The message is forever. Like you can, like, we all need a name to call, and we need that name. And some of us can call Allie, but when you can't call Allie, Allie has also told us to call on the Lord.
That's what, and you know, that's what time has taught me. That's what the wisdom of aging has. You know, you look at the time and go, "Oh my Lord, I'm 63 years old, and I had a hit record in '89 and all of that." But it has taught me that none of this could have been possible without God's grace. And so that's the name you want to call on. Just call his name and he'll come running. Matter of fact, he don't have to come running. He's always right there.
Exactly.
He's already there. He's with us all the time. All he wants us to do is praise him and call upon him. Be faithful to him, and he comes through every time. So that's what I've learned, and that is what I have derived from the lyrics of a song that I've been singing over 30 years.
Well, it's a great lyric. So, and speaking of the lyric and the legacy of Alyson Williams, how do you feel your legacy has? Well, you already said it's last that, but you have more than one hit. First of all, so you have you have several songs that have Can't Have My Man. I need Your Lovin', Sleep Talk. Come on now, we only talking about one song because that song, that message in that song is just so profound and just really gets everybody lifted because it's such a meaningful song. But there are other songs that are around and that add to your legacy. So how do you feel your legacy has shaped you today and from when you started?
Well, you know what? It's funny because, you know, Def Jam was a fledgling label whose core demographic and core genre was rap and what we now know to be hip hop. So it was difficult and it was exciting at the same time to be on a label where I was doing something that was so different, but nonetheless laying down the platform, laying down the foundation for them to grow and to broaden their horizons. Def Jam realized they knew, you know, Russell knew what he knew about putting this music that had its finger on the pulse of the streets, but he also knew he came up listening to classic R&B, and he wanted to have his hand in that pot too. You know, he wanted to have a hand in producing the next crop of classic R&B singers. So he took myself and Tayshawn and R.M. Juice Jones and Chuck Stanley, and he created a platform for us to be able to do something that was steeped in excellence. And you can tell that we had been inspired by the greats, but we weren't trying to recreate the wheel. We were trying to give it a new spin for the next generation, and we accomplished that. What I find is, you know how things are ever changing. I think we were at a point, we were at the precipice right there where R&B and hip hop were merging, which gave us a new jack swing kind of thing. So we were looking and hoping to find the niche. Do you know what I'm saying? And how we would be accepted, because we hadn't been too far behind it where they had looked and said, oh, this rap thing, oh, that'll be 15 minutes. Oh, well, really? Okay, 50 years later. But I mean, even at that point, they were like, they realized what it could be, and then they began to say, oh, young man, come over here. Let us, you know, take you under wing. And once he had that, like I said, the R&B division of Def Jam was born, and all music at all the different labels was trying to find that thing. That's why you had a Guy, and you had a Teddy Riley, and you had this group over here and this group over there. They were trying to find that. So it was a great time, but you had to be real clear of where you were going to land, because it was a chance for you to land solid, and then there was a chance for you to slip off and never be heard of again. Because people weren't sure whether they were going to accept you or just keep on listening to the Marvin Gaye that we got. We just stick with Patty and them. We're not trying to hear who are you. You know, it was that place, because we were creating something that was fresh and new.
Did you know that you were creating, when you was on the journey? Did you realize that you were creating a unique space for yourself? Or
I knew I was in the middle of it. I knew I was in the middle of it, and I knew I was a part of it, yes. And the thing for me, I'm a jazz singer by trade. When I came home from the hospital as an infant, my father had a 21-piece swing band. You know, my father's hangout cats were Clark Terry and Dickie Wells and you know, great trumpeters and saxmen and that are in the history books. That you know, I came up with that. So when I got signed to a hip hop, a rap label, and given an R&B contract, all I could do was pray. And I didn't come up like most of my counterparts and most of my peers. I didn't come up in the church, so I didn't have this gospel thing going. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't riffing and wobbling like the rest of them. I was really a legitimate, I had legit Broadway chops. I had jazz. I had that kind of vocal. So I didn't even know if I could make the grade. But
Wow.
I knew I was in the midst of it. I knew I had a great opportunity, and I knew that I did something that everybody else did. It just had to take me a moment to realize that that was a good thing. I didn't
So
have to be able to curl and wobble. I can sing a straight note, and most folks can't.
that's fact.
You can understand what I'm saying. A lot of folks, you can't.
Yeah.
I know how to deliver a lyric and tell a story. A lot of people didn't learn that, weren't taught what that really is, and how to make a song genuinely your own. So these are the things that I brought to the table, and just so happened to find out that, this is the good stuff.
Yeah. So what was one of the most difficult, but you having a jazz background, what was was there any song that was difficult for you to record in the R&B world when you got in
It's funny. None of the songs were difficult to record, but what the producers used to have to do is they had to dirty me up, because my vocals were always so clean. I was articulating, and I had to learn how to take creative license. I didn't have to say the all the time. Maybe it was the, or lady might be lady. You know what I mean? I had to learn how to articulate so that I could tell the right story. And, like I said, they had to just roughen up the edges that had been so carefully smoothed out over the years.
So
you know what I'm saying?
Some of the R&B singers that inspired you when you were on that journey, or coming into jazz, coming from jazz going into R&B? Who were some of the R&B divas divos that you was jamming to prepare you for your stint at Def Jam?
I guess when I was coming up, and I ventured, away from the jazz, because I was the Great American Songbook, and I was fine over there. But I kept wondering, why do my others, my counterparts, my peers, even the ones who don't sing, we're all listening to the Silvers and the Jackson 5, and we all got that. But I want to figure out, what's that deep thing that Gladys is doing, and how is it that Shaka Khan can soar so high? What can I do with that? I wanted to listen to more of a group like Brainstorm, because I love the sound of the lead singer of that group. And right now I'm having a brain for Belita Woods, who went on to be with P-Funk. I wanted to hear what that was like. I was listening to the lead singer for groups like oh gosh, what's they did I Can Understand It.
Oh
Yeah,
oh, man.
I was into those self-contained big band like R&B bands, because we had the Daz Band, and we had Cameo, we had all these big 12-piece bands, and they had somebody singing up front.
And all of them.
All of that, Atlantic Star, Star Point, all the stars. There was 1,000 star groups.
Yeah.
I was listening to these real people who could just go, even the P-Funk people. I toured with them and came to know that they were all just incredibly trained musicians. They looked like a party on fire going down the block, but you know what I'm saying? But they really had chops and really had knowledge of music from the roots. So I got to see that up close, so my inspirations came from many different places. Many different places. Yeah.
Well, your voice is attached to a lot of groundbreaking music, from your background vocals with basketball. And that's what I don't know where hip hop would be without that classic, because that
well,
was
I'm just
like,
saying, that's the beauty of it. How to, what the road was, I'm singing jazz. I'm trying to dip my feet into the R&B pond, working as a singer, doing local gigs. The first R&B band I'd worked with was a little six-piece band called the Little Dudes, and they had a singer, and she got pregnant, and they used to work for my dad when he would do events. He'd have the big band, 21 pieces, and he'd have a singer, and a tap dancer, and a comedian, and then he had a young band, and then he had a DJ, and this was how the whole night was, right? So the little band, young band, I got to know the guys, but I mean, I would just be looking and watching. They had this girl, and she was older than them, but she could really sing, a soul singer. She could just bring it. She knew how to break it down and control the audience, and she got pregnant. And I just decided I'm gonna audition. And I know my father's gonna kill me, but they need a singer, you know. All my dad was thinking about, no, you're not getting ready to be with these young boys. Sorry. And so my first song that I learned, I think, was Shame by Evelyn Champagne.
Oh,
that was the song I learned. I knew that was in their repertoire, and I learned it. And I went and sang for them. And they said, if your daddy say you can be with us, we love it.
Wow. And the rest is history.
So you know, I'm listening to what's happening on the radio, and then I run into Curtis Blow, and Curtis and I start hanging out, and I start taking him down to places like the Cellar and Sweet Waterz and McKell's, and he has no clue that there are grown and sexy people who love his music. He don't know nothing about those folks.
So at this time when you're hanging with Curtis Blow, he's already Curtis Blow?
He's Curtis Blow. He's already, Curtis Blow, right? and has no idea that, well, he's Curtis Blow, and now he's producing other artists. He's producing the Fat Boys. He's producing Starsky. He's producing Sweet G. He is the producer du jour of the rap genre because he's the king of rap. And he meets me, and I start taking him places where he's got an audience that he didn't even knew he existed. And in the interim, he starts taking me into the studio, and I become his hook girl. And then we do If I Rule the World.
Oh,
and we do that 10 years before Lauryn Hill has even shown up. And then we do You Gotta Believe with Starsky, and we do Fat Boys, and Fat Boys Are Back, and Rapping Rodney Dangerfield, and Games People Play, Games Females Play.
So that was all you on those vocals?
Basketball, all of it.
Wow.
We laid down the foundation for what hip hop is today. And the only other people that were doing it were like, what do you call the girls? Sparkle, Angie B and them.
Right.
Angie Stone and them with the Sugar Hill Gang. They were doing the same thing. Behind the scenes, you didn't know who these chicks were, but putting on these wonderful hooks.
So was there like a community of, did y'all ever come together, like, and just not jam out so much, but like, were y'all
Well, this is what I did. This is what I did because I came from a different discipline. I knew who those girls were, but we weren't necessarily, coming together like that. But I knew who they were, and I got that they could sing. What was going on is Curtis is producing all of these new people, and they start bringing in, and even Curtis, the girl who live upstairs, you done promised that she gonna be a star. She comes to the studio, she can't carry a note in a paper bag. She can't carry a note in a wheelbarrow, and y'all are wasting money. Y'all are wasting money. And you got to roll a joint and then order Chinese food, and y'all ain't get no singing done.
Nothing.
Because you're trying to teach somebody how to sing one part.
So you've seen a lot of one hit.
I started bringing in my real singer friends. So that's where you have me and Audrey Wheeler, who's Audrey Wheeler Downing. Will Downing's wife's been singing with Chaka Khan for 30 years. I mean, real singers. We had a little company called AW Squared, Alyson Williams and Audrey Wheeler. And we were doing all of these vocals. Every once in a while, we get a Jocelyn Brown. We get who else would we get? We get Lisa Fisher. We get Cindy Mizell. I was able to call in the real singers. We come in, look at the part, listen to the part, do the part, and be out of there in an hour and a half. And so the people start realizing we're saving money. What Fonda Ray, and all of those girls, all my girlfriends, I would say, come on, and I would contract the sessions. I would be doing arrangements on all of these different rap songs, doing the vocal arrangements and what have you. And then they started getting to the point where, we want to hire you. Audrey, come in the studio on Wednesday. Audrey's out of town. She won't be back till Friday. Okay, we'll wait. Because that's how good we were at laying it down and hitting it and saving them money and giving them this sound. So, it was a wonderful time to be, and then out of nowhere, I started getting work doing a lot of background vocals with R&B people. And this was all rap first. Then I started working with Kashif. Then I started working with M2Man. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I got to sing on Love Come Down and what was Evelyn's?
Oh, you sang on Love Come Down too?
Love Come Down. And what's the other one? Is Love Come Down, and then the other one is
But wait, you sang on Love Come Down though?
Yeah. Love Come Down. And what was the other big one that she had?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Say that one? No,
Not
because you
Shane.
saying Shane for the audition.
Shane was years before, and then she came
Right.
out with that when she started working with Kashifa and Paul Lawrence, and it was Love Come Down, and the other one was
It was I'm in love.
I'm in love. That's it.
Yeah.
I sang on both of those. I sang
Wow.
on some stuff for Bobby Brown when he was produced by what's the brothers, the lead singer for Cameo.
Cameo. Oh, you did. You was on the King of Stage album.
Mm-hmm. Did
Wow.
that. I sang on what was it? A couple of things, a bunch of stuff for Melba Moore. You want it,
Okay.
you got to take my love. Yeah.
What? So
Curtis Hairston.
so
I mean,
you was
that's what I
around.
was doing.
You were. There wasn't no play when you was coming. Like you, all the singers was this. Y'all was just getting it as it was coming. There.
Yeah. Let me tell you what my first record was. Do you remember okay, so there was a group called the Five Stair Steps, and their family name was the Burks, and they recorded Ooh Child, and then after they weren't teenagers and weren't a kids group anymore, the brothers began to do different things, the Burke brothers. So Kenny Burke, everybody knows, and then it was a Clarence Burke. Clarence put together a project that he didn't put his name on outside of producing and writing, and he called it the Invisible Man's Band. This is when we had disco music and
be an
and he had
all-night
all
thing.
night thing.
That
That's
was
me
my
on
first
that record.
That was my first 12-inch record that I. Oh,
that was
wow,
my
no
first.
Way.
That was my first vocal on the radio. Was all night
No,
thing.
that was my first
All of that
12-inch
Let's go
record I
to
bought.
the disco.
Yeah.
What? And all the background parts on it. That's me.
Get out. You've been in my life like all my life.
I've been right there. We go back like car seats.
I've been calling your name way before I even knew it.
You didn't even know. You didn't
That's
know.
why that song is so important to me, to culture. You are the name that was being called for all these classics that we know of today. On these hopes. This is a beautiful I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You just can't. The soul is streets. So when you was doing all this, like, were you even conscious of the hip hop, or your introduction to hip hop was just working on with the artist?
Was working with the artist. Then Russell said, because Russell was managing Curtis at the time, so we'd go in the studio, we'd make a record, me and Russell and Larry Smith, and then we take the record down to the Diplomat Hotel and let Reggie Wells put it on the Wheels of Steel. And if the people went crazy, we know we had a hit. Or we take it up to the Fever, or we give it to Kool Herc, like the night we came out of the studio. So that's how I learned. It was like I was with Spanky and I was Darla. I was in the game because I was the girl. Yeah. And so that's how that all came to be. And then when Russell decided, I'm gonna make the dopest, deafest, most underground label for artists, and then I'm gonna have R&B too. And that's how Def Jam came.
Wow.
And once he built Def Jam, then he, forged into the R&B. And while I was waiting for Def Jam to get ready, I was with a group called High Fashion, and we were on Capitol. And it was me and Melissa and a brother out of Detroit named Eric McClinton, and that went on, and it was Change, the BB&Q band, and High Fashion. We were all sister groups. So we did that for 2 years. Like? It was fun as heck. It just didn't last long enough. It was because we had some great writers, great producers, real live strings. I remember, you know how they used to have all those great studios in New York, like Media Sound and stuff, with sound stages. And sometimes I'd have to go by Media to pick up my next tape so I could learn the music. We had tapes then, or pick up a check or something, and they'd be in there doing strings for Change or strings, and it'd be like a room full of these old cats, union musicians with fishing hats with tackle hanging on them, just playing the stuff that was eventually going to be dance music and R&B music, but they would just, up in there was Mauro Malavasi would be, and David Romano would be conducting them, and I knew that I was a part of something real because the music was real. It was authentic. Great musicians, Mike Campbell, Timmy Allen, Kevin Robinson,
Timmy Allen.
all of these great musicians. We were all doing our thing as young people, just trying to find our niche and honing our craft. And like I said, the Def Jam thing happened. I happened to be standing next to Curtis and Russell. Def Jam came, then I ended up on Def Jam, and then it was time for me to have my own music. and we knew they wanted it to be R&B, and that's how it happened.
Nice. Did you have it when the song Sleep Talk came to you? Did you have any reservations of recording that particular song?
First of all, I didn't write it. They brought me on my music. When Russell first started out, he had an office on Broadway in the Garment District, and he had one office that had another room off to the side. And our dear Heidi Smith, Heidi was his receptionist, and it just had a big desk, like almost like an old school, like the teacher's desk up front, big wooden desk, a chair, and maybe about 9 chairs around the room. And it would be me and Houdini and LL and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Andre and them, and we'd all converge in the afternoon in the office. And Russell, in his room, he had another big teacher desk with nothing else in there, nothing on the wall, just a space and a chair. And he had a boombox on his desk. And we would be listening to, everybody would bring their music, whatever it was that they had recorded on a cassette, and we'd be listening to it, and we wanted Russell to hear our stuff. So we'd be sitting there playing musical chairs. Yo, let me put mine down. And then nobody wanted to go to the bathroom, which was down the hall, because if Russell came while you was in the bathroom, somebody was going to pop your tape out and put theirs in. The minute you walked out the door, your tape was coming out. So you could lose your space. And I would be there in the midst of all of that, and I would bring my music that I felt, but listen, I've been listening to Arif Mardin. I've been listening to Burt Bacharach. My writing style was somewhere else. And I'll never forget, Russell said to me, Alyson, don't worry about your music. We'll find songs for you. And what I took that to mean in my naivety and in my young mind was I wasn't good enough. So I stopped writing. The part of the sentence that Russell didn't give me or didn't know to give me was, maybe we can get your song to a Dionne Warwick. Maybe we can get your song to somebody who, because you're writing for somebody. It's just, you're just not writing for who we think you are.
Right.
So it made me feel I wasn't good enough. So I stopped writing. And I just kind of, kept it to myself. But what I did was I took all of that energy and I put it on the stage, and I said, I'm going to be the best performer, and I'm going to do it so well that they won't be able to keep their eyes off of me. And that's when I brought back my theater training and my dance training and all the things I had been doing my whole life, trying to be a triple threat coming from that background. And then one day I decided, well, you got to start writing again, because if you don't, it's not going to be a good thing. And eventually I did, but I didn't write Sleep Talk or Raw or any of that. I didn't write any of that. I didn't write that down because I thought I couldn't.
Curious, did you like the songs? Did you like those songs when they gave them to you?
I think if I had to go back through the 2 albums that came out of Def Jam, which are Raw and self-titled Alyson Williams, I don't think there's anything that I sang that I didn't like, because I won't sing music that I don't like.
Gotcha.
I have to have at least that kind of creative control. Like, I wasn't just gonna let them put a song on me that said, kiss my booty, booty, big old booty, just because booty was trending. I wasn't going to do that.
Right.
And I also realized that, and I think they realized they couldn't make me hip hop because I was already too polished, but they couldn't make me street. Like, I couldn't be Mary J. Blige because Mary was Mary.
And there was no Mary. I mean?
There was no Mary. And I paved the way for Mary.
You opened the door for Mary.
Right, I opened the door for Mary. But so what they wanted to do was they wanted to take hard tracks and put a smooth vocal on it. That's what they did with me. They took a hard track, a beat, and then they, gave it another little flavor on the vocal.
It opened the door. It opened the door for what we have today. And some of these doors need to be closed today, but we thankful for the doors that's been open.
Yeah. So that's how that went. You know what I mean? In terms of and like you asked me, did I like the songs? I like the songs because they told a story that I could tell, and I felt confident in telling it. Like, I'm a grown woman, right? There's a certain way I'm going to talk. There's a certain way I want to be talked to. There's a certain way I'm going to express myself. So I can't just sing any song. Scooch
over. Your audience don't want to just hear you sing because they already know.
Scooch over might not be my way, although I get what scooching is.
Right,
and I think it's cute, and I think it was clever, but that's not how I would say it. So yeah, and my demographic now is grown people, grown women, and grown men too. So I got to speak to them or for them and through them. So, you know, but back in the day, the songs that they gave me, I did enjoy, you know, performing them.
And you was dancing and cutting the rug and doing your 1-2 step too. So you know what I'm saying? So you had a little boogie oogie.
Oh, I had a little going on. If you go back and look at the videos, I had dancing boys and background vocals.
I remember reading the article, I think it was in Right on one of those black magazines, music magazine, and they said that you said you wanted to be a dancer.
That was my first passion. I studied at the Dance Theater of Harlem from the time, well, actually before Arthur Mitchell had a brick and mortar space. I was with him in the basement of the Church of the Masters, where he started from the time I was around 3, 4, 5 years old. Then I did all of the dance institutions that you could do out of Harlem: Alatunde, La Rock Bay, Ruth Williams, Baby Williams. I did them all. And then when it was time for Mr. Mitchell to have the space that we still now know up on 152nd Street, I went there and I was a scholarship student and went as far as the junior company. So I was a dancer. I studied with Alvin Ailey. I studied with George Faison. I studied with Frank Hatchett. I studied with Pepsi Bethel. That's what I did.
You are just a treasure to this. I mean, to life. I mean, this interview here is even better than the last one we did, because I'm getting to know you more as like the artist, the person, and the stories behind it. Like, you got a lot of history that really, really affected my life, and I'm so thankful for you.
Well, you know, I'm thankful that I'm here and alive and able to tell my story. I'm trying to get it put down in the book, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you have a book?
Yeah, I have a couple of books, but I want to get the first one out. And I have it formulated almost. I just need to get somebody to help me, you know, with that next step, because I want some little black girl or black boy to be able to open a book or put it on their tablet or whatever and see what it was that I came through, so that they can know they can do it too.
You know, now they do those voice, the spoken books too, the audio books, so you can
audio book, put it on your tablet. I don't care how you're reading these days, but I want you to be able to know that Alyson Williams, you know, set down a standard and worked hard. You know, none of it was given. It wasn't like I had famous parents. I just had nurturing parents. Right. You know, I had parents who didn't tell me no. I had parents who believed if I wanted to go into show business, it wasn't going to be the worst thing ever. You know, they let me go. I had to work hard, and I had to hustle, and I had to make people know that, hey, I'm hungry and I'm talented, and I want to do whatever it is, you know, to put the work in. You know, I had to learn, don't compromise yourself, and don't worry about a casting couch. Get out of that room. You know, I had to know that, yeah, you're gonna run into a lot of things. There's gonna be a lot of temptations. There's drinking, there's drugs, there's a party, there's this and the other. But what do you want more? What do you really want for yourself? You know, what's in these streets? Nope, can't do that. You know what I mean? And have the courage to do it differently if it looks like the way everybody else is doing it is not quite what you know or would have it to be. Go ahead and have the courage to do it differently, and you'll still come out on top. And the funny thing is, that was what I left home with. And, you know, I kept getting this message. And then when I came into the circle with Dr. Maya Angelou, and she became my mentor, she would always say that. And it was such a wonderful confirmation to know that have the courage to just do what's right. You know, so if I were a young woman today, and they said, okay, you're going to have to cuss, you're going to have to take off your clothes, and you're going to have to turn around, and just when they think you're going to swing, don't sing, just twerk. I would probably not want to go that way. And I would have to rely on my God-given talent and choose an image that was less, you know, yeah, sex, drugs, rock and roll sells. I'm not stupid. I get it. But I would have to go another way, because I know that I couldn't do right by myself by doing it that way. I couldn't make my family proud by doing it that way. I couldn't, you know.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it like that.
Well, I
Even if
want
I
to
was
ask
on the
you.
top, even if I was completely on the top and nobody could touch me, nobody could touch me. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Even if I was all the way up, I still have to look in the mirror and sleep and wake up every day with me and my conscience. And know that I told somebody, I wish I could take a food in my nigga, take a food in the hood, in the BBDBD, in the book, in the it, papa. I couldn't do it. That's not my way. I couldn't do it.
Was that even ever presented to you back then in that
Oh,
time?
absolutely. There were people doing their version of that.
Were there any songs that you turned down and said, no, I'm
Oh,
not
if
going to
I
do that?
turned them down, I can't remember. I can't remember that for a
Okay,
fact. I
okay.
can't remember. But I'm sure there were some that weren't, they weren't savory.
Right. So I want to ask you, because you got a classic, legendary performance that's out there at the Apollo Theater when you performed Just Call My Name.
Woo, yeah, that
What
was really good. I love
what
that
was that
performance.
moment like, and was that your first time receiving that type of love?
This is why I tell you, G's, that there's always been a struggle, even when you're right in the middle. So when I got to do the Apollo, there's a certain thing that all artists do, whatever is within the track of when you're a new artist and you hot and you click. And they're gonna send you to Soul Train, they're gonna send you to Dick Clark, they're gonna send you to Apollo. You're gonna do the track, because that's you got to do that track so you can get the exposure, especially if your record's hot.
Right.
My records went hot over in Europe, and so they sent me to London, and I was so hot in London that I couldn't come home. I went over to do Top of the Pops, which is their version of Soul Train.
Yeah.
All of the shows
American
wrapped up into one
Bandstand, all that,
is
yeah.
their Top of the Pops. That's where you go. And I went to do it, and I was so hot over there that I couldn't come home, and I ended up living over there for 6 or 7 months because they had to shoot videos over there for me. They locked me in a hotel room one day for 2 days, and all I could do was do interview after interview after interview after interview with all the publications, and then eat. And then when I was finished eating, they start sending more people, and that's what I did for days.
Wow.
I was in every magazine every publication that you could imagine. And so by the time I came back to the States, the time that it would have been for me to go to to Apollo had passed. Like the time I would have
for
Just Call My Name. We was on to the next single. Just Call My Name. I should have been there, but we were on to the next single. So when I got back, they let me come on, but I had to fight to get to do 2 songs. We did Just My Luck, which was the Babyface song, but we did Just Call My Name. But the thing was, so you go in, you rehearse, and you do the run through. Then you take a union break, and you come back. When we came back from lunch, they had changed the order, and everything was thrown off. And I was like, that's not what. So I was going through that. And like I said, because Def Jam was a young company, we didn't always have people and reps with us that knew or could put their foot down, because a lot of people that have been doing it a long time looked at Def Jam and thought that they could step on Def Jam. So they weren't respecting our reps sometimes. So just to know that I had to, as an artist, even feel whatever that was, it was deep. Then I had a very dear friend of mine who was my makeup artist at the time, actually my hair and clothes person, and he was ill. He was dealing with his own personal issues with AIDS, and he was dying. But yet and all, he was there. But you could tell he had slow days, where he just wasn't able to do, but he was there, and I was dealing with that. I had a boyfriend at the time was a complete and total idiot and a knucklehead, and apparently I was getting too much attention. So when he would come with me on my events and stuff like that, he would always have to try to do something that just caused havoc. I don't know why, and why I was with him. But I learned that, So all of those things were on top of me, and I believe it's all of those things that made it such a good performance, because I was under a pressure where all I could do was put it into the performance and leave it on stage.
Jeez, I was like, when is she coming back? When's the next show? Like, oh my God,
that's
where's the concert?
All of that. I mean, and having Rachel and all of the people that I have worked with for years, we traveled together, my background singers, people who were my family, made that made me know that I could go out there. But I was in the wings in tears because of everything that was, I had to suck it up. And if you watch the performance, you can see I'm just on the edge. You might not know why I seem a little.
I thought you was just like, it was just
but
all
once
the like,
music,
that was an incredible performance.
Y'all have no idea.
Like after that incredible performance, like how did your the success of the song change after that? Did you see anything change after that performance?
I can't remember exactly what it was, but like I said, once I came back to the States, they had to hustle to get me to all the places I should have been during that 6-month period when I was in London, but they couldn't let go of the momentum.
But they shouldn't have to hustle no more after the Apollo.
No, what I'm saying, they had to get the scheduling in. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
The scheduling. When I went out California to do Soul Train, they were like, "Okay, we've been calling for 2 months. She's back now. Okay, let's see." I get there, and they're like, "You're just gonna do Just Call My Name." I'm like, "No. You're just gonna do whatever the other single was." And I went to Mr. Cornelius. I said, "Mr. Cornelius, I was told I was doing 2 songs, and I had to do 2 songs. Well, today, I'm like, Mr. Cornelius, I told my mother I was singing 2 songs." Looked at me, and he walked away, and he came back and he said, "Miss Williams, did you bring your music for your second song?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, you can do 2 songs." It was so funny. I was like determined because I had to still, even though Just Call My Name was over as a single, that's what people knew me for. If I didn't sing Just Call My Name, it was almost like, why did you come? But people couldn't have known that because they weren't on the road with me and seeing how radio and how it was touching the people. This was television. This was a show, and this was the place to get the what do you call it? The exposure. But it was a controlled atmosphere. It was a TV audience. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's different. They couldn't have known how important it was to do that song. They didn't know. So I had to fight for all of those things. I never got to do Arsenio Hall because he was feuding with what's his name? The Brit rapper. The one who was working with Slick Rick. Slick Rick and Arsenio had a feud. That's why for a while, remember he keep using Arsenio used to say, if you're a real artist, you can do so and so and so and so and so and so. So the story went, Slick went out to California and took his entire family and stopped at the exotic car shop and went on out there to do Arsenio. Young boy. Hey, Slick. He gets to the studio and they sent the wrong music. The Def Jam crew sent the wrong music.
Wow.
So he couldn't perform. And Arsenio was like, well, why not? Can't you just? But he didn't know that in the rap world, and maybe especially for a new artist, the rap people need that thing different. It's not like when you sing jazz or whatever, or maybe a little R&B, you can say, okay, maybe we can get a band to play it, or maybe we can just do this or whatever. He needed his tracks the way he needed them, so his DJ could wiki the way he needed it, and his hype boy could walk up and down and do what they do. That's what they did. So he couldn't do it. And Arsenio, and Arsenio didn't go down well. So there were words, and some of them were probably not censored, and he didn't perform. So that left the studio with a blank spot. That's TV. It's a lot of money. And you brought your whole family and you walked out.
Wow.
So it was ugly. So for a long time, no Def Jam artists were on Arsenio. Until finally, Quincy Jones set Arsenio down and said, look, you got to lift this band. You are hindering people's careers because you're the place where Black artists get to shine. I've got an album coming out that's the Black Messiah, a Christmas album, and Big Daddy Kane is on it. And I need him. I don't know if Kane was some kind of way Def Jam was involved with it, or it was released through Def Jam, and Kane was on it. So in order for Arsenio to lift the band, Quincy had to step in the middle. But by that time, it was too late, and I didn't have anything to bring to the Arsenio show at that time. The second single was gone. It just wasn't no Alyson Williams to make it worthy.
Right.
of bringing it on. That time had passed, but that was all because of a feud with Arsenio, and he kept it up. He kept the grudge because he, his whole thing was like, well, if you're a real artist, you don't need those tracks, you don't need this, you could just make it happen with this or the other. So when and then of course Slick Rick said the hell with you and a whole bunch of other things, and so every night Arsenio will go, if you're a real artist, you could do so and so because you're a real artist. He would just do that every night.
just digging.
Yeah, it was deep, and I was caught in the crossfire of that.
Man, you really need this book. And this book may even turn into a movie.
Oh, it's gonna turn into a movie. That's why I got to get it straight in my mind, and I got to do it soon because it's gonna be a biopic, and it may be a one woman show on Broadway too.
Come on now, that'll be dope. That'll be dope.
Yeah,
that would be dope.
Because that would give a chance for people to see jazz, R&B, gospel, hip hop, everything.
And it's authentic essence. Like it's like because you are the one that
because it happened. Because it happened. We don't have to write the story. It happened. We just have to find a way to adapt it to a screenplay, into a play. That's all we have to do. It happened.
Sheesh.
And I'm the only one it happened to. So it ain't like somebody can go and take it. It's me.
Right.
This is my life. This is my life. I was there. It happened.
So is there any new music on the horizon? What's going on with this? With some new sounds? Do we have any new sounds coming?
Well, I finally got around to the place where I was able to start getting back to my jazz route because I needed to get back to where I started from.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there aren't many R&B singers that can cross that line. I, like a Phyllis Hyman, was able to live in both worlds. And I want to get back to her and some things I'm doing. But I know that's a space that needed to be filled. And it still needs to be filled. So I started working on some jazz music and smooth jazz music just coming into COVID. And of course, COVID stole so much. It didn't steal from me too. So we're working to backtrack and now reinvent and still do a smooth jazz / adult contemporary R&B piece of music. We've got some of it recorded and we have some things. I just got a call the other day from my manager who told me that there's a particular artist, I don't know him particularly, but that he had some music and he wanted me to do something for his project. And I'm hoping that he brings something that makes me interested in doing something with him for me.
Right.
I've been trying to write and just keep the creative juices flowing and what have you. And so yeah, I'm looking for material. I hear some sounds that I think I can cross over into that are relative and current, especially on the Afrocentric, what would you call it? Afrobeat scene. Yeah, I think that's something I could easily acclimate to. And I just need to have somebody to collaborate with that understands it and understands how to make it, delicious.
Right.
It's got to be sexy and grown and delicious. You know what I mean?
That would be nice.
And yeah, I like that. And even like I said, some straight up R&B. The thing is I have a certain, when people say, well, define R&B, it's different for different people, and I know what it is for me. So yes. I hope that your listeners are listening. Maybe they'll hit you back or they'll come to me on Instagram or whatever. And man, because you never know where that hit's gonna come from. You don't know. So
that's a fact.
I've got some people who are jumping at the bit to produce. You know what I mean? We just need to well, what we're doing now is we're also seeking out investors. Because for an artist of my caliber, I think they believe the best thing is to go with investors instead of crowdfunding or things of that nature. We need something that's more definite and secure. And if we find investors, then we know what we can do, to get it done in one fell swoop and have everything we need to not only get the material, record the material, but then market the material. That's where people fall short. They fall short because there's never enough money at the end of the day to market it. And look what you're up against. You got 500,000 songs come out damn near every day in various genres, and you waving your hand going, hey. So you might not have enough money to make the world see you. And you up against the last 5 labels that exist and the internet. I'm not a kid.
On top of everything else, the internet.
Right. And I'm not a kid. I can't just leak a song. You know what I'm saying? I need to really have
still Alyson Williams, you still Alley Cat, and when the song hits and your voice is on it, as far as I know.
Yeah, but you better, but I think I think that a younger vocalist has a chance to do it and throw it all up in the air. I need to throw it up in the air and have a safety net. You know what I'm saying?
That's where you got the gift.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think that's a smarter way to do it than just to say, so in other words, get the money you need. Don't get the money you think you can make it happen with.
I got it. I understand.
If you think you need $100, get 150. Don't say, well, I think I can make it happen for 75. No, because there's too many variables in the middle.
Right.
And you don't want to be egg on face and flat out. You want to succeed. You want to get to where you're going. You want to have enough money to play all your hands and stay in the game.
So let me ask you that: what would you tell your young self today? If you could talk to your younger self today, what would you tell your younger self today, and what you know today?
I would tell my young self, don't ever let anybody say anything to you that makes you stop. So if someone says to you, Alyson, don't worry about writing songs for your album. We'll bring songs to you. Don't listen to that and let that make you stop writing for you or for whoever else you think might want to be able to hear your music or express your music or interpret your music. That was a mistake, but I didn't know I was making. It turned out okay because it made me put my concentration in another place, but I needed not to hear that. I needed my mind not to be able to tell me that. I would say, be a little more diligent and focus on the business end of music business and the business end of show business, because of all of those terms, business is the longer word, is here, business. You got to keep your eye out there, especially in the internet world, even more so in the digital world than when we were just, doing what we do. I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention, but luckily I was in a good circle of people that did protect me and embraced me. But you got to really because it's a business. It's a business. I would say that. And I would say when you are blessed to have parents that are nurturing, stern to an extent, but still trusting. I done gave you everything I can. I done told you everything to do. I'm telling you, if you do A and B, C is going to happen. I did A and B anyway. Everything they told me not to do, I did it. Luckily, because I knew what was waiting for me at home, I was able to turn it around. And when it turned out wrong, like they said it would, I never did it again.
Right. I
never did it again. I did it, but I got lucky. I didn't get caught.
You did it, but it didn't do you.
It didn't do me, right? But I saw, so just there's a reason people are trying to tell you and give you a heads up. You're just too young to know, and you think you're grown, and you think you got it. So you're not, and you don't. That's what I would say to me. You're not, and you don't.
My last thing, because you have a special way of interpreting other classic women songs, and we just lost Angela Bofield. Will you be doing any tributes or adding any of her material to your show?
She had always done a really nice version of People Make the World Go Round. And I've been doing that for years, very much with the Latin groove. And that's because I got that out of Angela Bofield.
Okay.
I hadn't thought about doing anything in the immediate future, which brings me to what I mentioned about Phyllis Hyman. Since Phyllis's death in 1995, I have been 1997. 2 years out of that, I created a show called Old Friend. Alyson Williams sings tribute to the legendary Phyllis Hyman, and it's been performing. I've been putting it up in various incarnations. As a one-woman show, as a duet, what I'm saying, I've done it in many different places, many different ways, with dancers and a whole bit, and just telling her story through the legacy of her music, and trying to get the attention I need so that I can take it to the next level. Because I believe if we've had a Michael Jackson on Broadway and a Tina Turner on Broadway and the Temptations on Broadway and a Carole King on Broadway, I believe that we could have a Phyllis Hyman on Broadway.
Definitely.
I believe her
Definitely.
story is worthy. But what really sparked me in the last 10 years or 5 years or so is that I've decided to use her platform or use the platform of mental health and mental awareness, mental health awareness to open the narrative. And I think who better than someone who was challenged by a mental illness challenge or a mental health challenge like schizophrenia, like melancholia, like bipolarism, all of those things or things like that, manic depressive, things that Phyllis dealt with. I'm not saying she had all of them. I'm saying there was back in there, and it took her away from us. And you begin to realize that there are people out there, especially in our Black and brown communities, who are suffering senselessly in silence because they can't get the help or they're afraid to speak out because they think that there's such a negative connotation on it, So you got to realize this is an illness. You didn't ask for this. You can be helped. And this is an illness that doesn't recognize power, beauty, wealth, stature, talent. It doesn't recognize any of that. Because Phyllis had all of that and got right up out of here. With all the beautiful things she said to us through her music, through her presence, through her performances, it couldn't keep her here. So I use the show as a way to speak forth her music and her state of mind, both on the up days and the down days, but also to speak to other people who may not know the statistics or who may be sitting there and realize, damn, I am a statistic. Not a statistic, but I'm part of it. And I just don't know what to do. But what we do, and by the time we finish the end of the show, we also have someone come out and speak to you and tell you you're not alone and tell you where you can reach out and tell you how to get the help. And we want to be able to take that everywhere we can. And hopefully that will give us the next level of support that develops the show into the Broadway.
That's beautiful. Show. I mean, it's helping people along the way.
Yeah, and then once we get to that place, then what we want to do is every ticket you sell, every ticket we buy, that every butt we put in a seat, we take some of that proceed and we put it somewhere where it actually goes to help people.
Nice.
Whatever organization we partner with, we actually know that we're doing, every time we do the performance, we are helping somebody somewhere.
Nice.
To come a little bit back off the edge. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm preparing to be featured with my show at the International Black Theater Festival, which is a biannual theater festival, 18 years running. We call it Holy Ground down in Winston-Salem from July 29th to August 3rd. I will be doing my Phyllis Hyman tribute under the show name Betcha by Golly Wow, There's Never Too Much. It is Betcha by Golly Wow, There's Never Too Much is a 2-person concert presentation. Alyson Williams doing Phyllis Hyman and Terry Steele doing Luther Vandross. It will run for 4 nights from the 31st to the 3rd. You don't want to miss it if you're coming to the North Carolina National Black Theater Festival, presented by the North Carolina Black Repertory. Please come. Go to NorthCarolinaBlackRep.org, NCBlackRep.org, NC.Rep.Black.org. Tell you all about it. And you're going to really enjoy it. You're going to really enjoy it. Not just my presentation along with Terry Steele, but the whole week is just something to really experience. And so much great Black excellence in theater, from musicals to drama to revivals to comedy. It's got everything. So I'm really excited. I've been trying for 10 years to get on this festival in my own name, with my own piece. I've done many things wrapped around the festival and participated in the festival, but this is, the Alyson Williams brand, and I'm really excited.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wrapped up an interview yesterday and today with Tamara Tooney, the actress that we know from Law and Order and so many other things, and with Clifton Davis,
Nice.
And they are the celebrity co-chairs this year for the festival. So it's going to be packed full of superstars and up and coming people and young people that you want to see, and young people that have a voice and that are trying to come into this theater world and make a difference, and veterans who are trying to leave a mark and you know, provide the platform for people to stand on. And so I'm really excited about it. Like I said, working on new music as well. And hey.
Yes, listen,
Hey,
this has
G.
been a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for stopping by Soul of the Streets once again.
Thank you
And
so much for having me. You know what I'm saying? And it's always so easy. I'll look at G's and he'll say, "What's up?" I'll say, "What's up with you?" He'll say, "Want to do this?" Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, and we're gonna, God willing, do it again at another time when there's more to talk about. But until then, you stay safe, stay blessed, and stay beautiful, and enjoy the Carolinas because it's looking good on you.
Thank you. I don't get me wrong. I love you, New York, and I love you, Harlem. But listen, I don't know if it's okay for me to say this. Can I tell people when they hear the interview between Clifton and Tamara?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, we got WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. And on Tuesdays, I have a radio show called Love Notes with Alyson Williams in the Chill Zone. So this Tuesday coming up, it comes on Tuesdays between 8 and 10. We're going to have Tamara Tooney and Clifton Davis on this Tuesday coming up. And they're going to be talking about the International Black Theater Festival and what it means to them and what they're going to be doing and what you can expect. And I wish everybody would tune in and listen to it along with some great music that we're going to play in the midst. And
will it be re-airing as well, or it's going to be one time it plays, or
well, it will air one time and then it'll probably we might air it again afterwards. But it airs on Tuesday, 8 o'clock segment, and then a 9 o'clock hour.
All right, cool. Allie, you are the best. You are beautiful, and you are one of a kind. Thank you so much for your love.
Thank you,
my
love. Hey, listen, when I grow up, I want to be like you. I want to be on camera. I want a podcast.
Well, if you got people, if you got mentors like Alyson Williams in your corner, then it's possible.
Hey, listen, I just need to figure it out and how I'm going to commit to hair and makeup once or twice a week. You know, that's what I love about people who do podcasts, because it's a commitment to get in front of that camera and keep showing up. And do it well, you know, everything
and
looking good.
Thank you for coming on it, because Mickey said when I interviewed Mickey Howard, she said we could do the phone. I don't feel like getting dolled up. I don't feel like, so I know it takes a lot for some of you ladies to put yourself together, but you know, I appreciate the effort and the time, because you could have easily said let's do it on the phone, and that would have been fine too. But thank you for getting fine and ready for your boy.
Well, you know, if you stay ready, then you don't have to get ready. So I try to.
And on that note, that's how we're gonna end it, because you are always ready. All right, Allie, be blessed. Until next time.
Peace, baby. Love you.
Love you too.